the Honorable Minister of Education, Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of the National Open University of Nigeria, along with members of the council, the Executive Secretary, NUC, well represented, the guest speaker of this occasion, the celebrant here with us, the VC designate, principal officers of the university, former vice-chancellors of the National Open University of Nigeria, friends of the outgoing vice-chancellor who traveled from various destinations just to catch up with this very special event organized to honor the outgoing vice-chancellor, other very senior university officials who are here with us, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a special honor this very moment that I welcome you to a special dinner or a special send-forth ceremony organized by the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council of the university, along with his members, to honor what looks like an accomplished and well-administered 5-year tenure of the outgoing Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters. It's a dinner saying thank you for the deployment of both infrastructural and academic dexterity in deepening activities at the National Open University of Nigeria. And so we'll be witnessing a diffusion or a fusion of both official and unofficial activities here, just to tell Professor Olufemi Peters, we thank you today and we appreciate all the time and energy you've sunk in the business of ODL as exemplified at the National Open University of Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I would like to invite for an address of welcome the Chairman Governing Council of NOUN and Pro-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Malam Isa Yuguda, CON, for his address of welcome.
In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. The Honorable Minister of Education, who will soon join us, and he's the chairman of the occasion, members of National Open University Council, members of the University Senate, other distinguished council members from other universities here present, vice-chancellors who have been invited from other universities, our principal officers, former VCs and honorable staff of NOUN. It is a very sober moment today as we wish our brother, our great brother, the former Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters, who had meritoriously served this university and has brought it to the position we are today. So it is both a privilege and a solemn responsibility to stand before you as we bid farewell to Professor Olufemi Peters, our outgoing Vice-Chancellor. It's not often that we encounter an individual whose contributions resonate deeply across all facets of institutions. But Professor Peters has just done that, who had done that as we see it today. Under his stewardship, NOUN has not only expanded physically and technologically, but also achieved or also cultivated a culture of research excellence, staff development, and student welfare. His tenure stands as a testament to what we can achieve when an individual's vision aligns with the collective aspiration of an institution, and when there is an unwavering commitment to excellence and sustainability. Professor Peters' tenure will be remembered for transformational infrastructure developments that have modernized NOUN campus and its facilities. He oversaw the development of the conference center and the School of Postgraduate Studies, ensuring that NOUN remains at the forefront of advanced education and scholarly exchange. These milestones were not mere constructions. They symbolize NOUN's ongoing dedication to enhancing the quality of academic life and fostering global academic partnership. In his commitment to staff welfare, Professor Peters facilitated timely promotions, ensuring that both academic and non-academic staff were duly recognized for their efforts. His administration introduced substantial research grants that empowered our faculty members to undertake groundbreaking research, contributing to the advancement of knowledge and societal development. Through his guidance, NOUN became a thriving hub of academic inquiry, supported by an infrastructure that nurtures its growth and sustainability. Professor Peters also demonstrated remarkable foresight in the domestication of software systems, streamlining operations across various departments and the bursary to the store of the university. His initiative approach ensured that NOUN operations were not only efficient, but also aligned with the global standards in higher education. As we reflect on his remarkable contributions, we cannot overlook the student welfare initiatives he championed, such as student health insurance scheme, which he had directed and had positive impact on the lives of thousands of students. Under his guidance, NOUN became a model institution for students' care and support. Perhaps of his most defining achievement in his role in the Module Mood African Conference, which showcased NOUN's determination to push the boundaries of open and distant learning. His role in winning the ICDE Excellence Award further affirmed the global recognition NOUN has gathered under his direction, positioning our institution as leader in the global educational landscape. Professor Peters' tenure has truly been marked by vision, foresight, and integrity. He has steered NOUN with an unwavering commitment to its mission, ensuring that its academic and non-academic staff and students thrive within a conducive, progressive environment. Therefore, on behalf of the Governing Council and all principal staff here, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to you, Professor Peters, for your selfless service and dedication. The legacy you leave behind is not just in the structures you have built, but in the lives you have touched, the opportunities you have created, and the future you have helped shape. As you move on to the next chapter of your journey, we wish you continued success and fulfillment in all your endeavors. NOUN will forever be grateful for the indelible mark you have made in this institution. Thank you, and may you continue to inspire and excel wherever you go. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
I believe we can do more than that. For the Chairman Council and the former governor of Bauchi State, His Excellency Malam Isa Yuguda, CON. When a consummate administrator, a two-time governor, a two-time former minister, deploy the kind of words in the manner Malam Isa Yuguda did to shower encomiums on the outgoing Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, you truly want to believe that those words were not just deployed for praise's sake, but they actually represent who the man we are celebrating today is, Professor Olufemi Peters. No doubt, his administrative initiative made sure NOUN activities became a model of international reference, mixing both vision, foresight, and integrity to bring the vehicle of NOUN up to speed to what we have today. Sir, you deserve more than all the accolades they are showering on you today. Please, he deserves a round of applause, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Continue with the business of the day, which is celebrating our outgoing Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters. We are taking this time out and courtesy of the council to say thank you for what you've done, and history will be very proud that we have you along that line. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to invite Dr. Matthew Oguche to please come forward and help us read the citation of the outgoing Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters.
A brief profile of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters. The Council Chairman and members of the Council, Vice-Chancellor Sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor this afternoon to present the profile of an outstanding scholar, seasoned administrator and institution builder, whose life's work has contributed to redefining open and distance education in Nigeria and across Africa. The Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters, FCSN FIPAN. Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters is a distinguished Nigerian scholar of polymer science, post-harvest technology, and open and distance learning, ODL, and the fifth substantive Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN, in a position he assumed on 11 February 2021. Born on 11th May 1956 in Ebutemeta, Lagos State, to parents from Ogun State, he obtained a BSc in chemistry, second class, upper division, from the University of Ibadan in 1979, an MSc in polymer science and technology from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria in 1982, and a PhD in degradation and stabilization of polymers from the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, UMIST, UK, in 1988 as a Commonwealth Scholar. He began his academic career in 1982 at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria as a graduate assistant and rose to reader before joining NOUN in 2003 as an associate professor. In 2006, he became the first academic to be promoted to full professor by the NOUN Governing Council, a major milestone in the institution's history. The story of NOUN's rebirth cannot be complete without the numerous significant contributions of Professor Peters. From the early 2000s, he worked tirelessly to shape the university's academic and governance architecture, serving in several pioneering positions, notably as Foundation Dean of the Dane School of Science and Technology, now Faculty of Sciences, First Director of Examinations and Assessment, First Director of Academic Planning, and the university's first Deputy Vice-Chancellor, combining academic responsibilities before the creation of a separate DVC administration. In these roles, he led the development of the first academic brief on the 2013-2017 Strategic Development Plan, designed the outline and detailed program proposal templates now used across the university, and introduced the on-demand examination system with its examination bank and conference marking model to support flexible assessment and timely release of results. He coordinated NOUN's first full academic accreditation exercise, which secured NUC approval for the university's pioneer programs and earned him recognition as the university's best director in 2012. During this period, he emerged as one of the country's most consistent advocates for open distance and e-learning, mentoring colleagues, facilitating induction programs for new staff, and championing the culture that sees NOUN first and foremost as an ODL university rather than a conventional institution that merely uses some technology. Between 2014 and 2018, Professor Peter served the nation as Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute, NSPRI Ilorin, an agency of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development charged with reducing post-harvest losses and improving stored products technology. At NSPRI, he transformed the institute into a more vibrant, impact-driven research organization by implementing a strategic development plan that restructured research delivery, boosted staff performance, and substantially increased the number of PhD-level researchers. He led NSPRI's patenting efforts and attracted significant external funding, while federal capital allocation to the institute rose from about 160 million to 533 million. To ensure real sector impact, he designed business models that took NSPIR technologies from the laboratory to the field, leading to the adoption of the institute's innovations by universities, commodity markets, and private firms. These achievements deepen his reputation as a scientist administrator who can translate research into tangible economic and social benefits. Upon completing his tenure at NSPIR, Professor Peters returned to NOUN and in 2021 was appointed Vice-Chancellor. As Vice-Chancellor from 2021 to 2026, he has presided over a period of remarkable growth, digital transformation, and institutional consolidation. Under his leadership, student enrollment increased from 128,864 in 2021 to 249,683 in 2025, a 93.8% growth that confirms NOUN's status as Nigeria's largest university by learner population. Today, the university serves over 170,000 active learners through more than 120 study centers, including new community centers and centers in correctional facilities, thereby widening access for working adults, marginalized groups, and undeserved communities. His administration also delivered an extensive program of infrastructure development, the new Senate and Council chambers, the NOUN Information and Call Center building, and the ongoing faculty buildings for law, computing, and arts, completion of the technology complex, conference center, virtual laboratory, the Olugbemiro Jegedi postgraduate building, and new faculty buildings for social sciences, management sciences, and ESTL at headquarters, as well as dozens of projects, libraries, laboratories, e-examination halls, hostels, academic blocks, and incubation centers, completed or underway across the country, modernizing learning environments and strengthening NOUN's physical footprint nationwide. Guided by his deep experience in ODL, Professor Peters has driven a decisive shift from predominantly print-based instruction to a truly blended technology-enhanced model. He created the Office of Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Technology, Innovation, and Research to provide strategic leadership for pedagogical innovation and learning technologies, strengthened and upgraded the Moodle-based learning management system, integrating high-quality instructional videos, learning analytics, and virtual class sessions, and established state-of-the-art studios with mandatory video facilitation for all courses, resulting in over 1,200 video facilitated courses by 2025. Under his watch, NOUN completed the full digital migration of academic services, including e-registration, e-assessment, and e-examinations, supported by an in-house software development unit that built the exam results platform, ERP, student e-ticketing system, e-counseling platform, biometric enrollment, and transcript management tools. He also oversaw the migration of institutional ICT sites to the AWS platform, implemented learning analytics to enhance student engagement, and through TED Fund, ESTL, and other interventions, connected headquarters to the Nigeria REN optic fiber backbone, established a dedicated data center, and rolled out fiber optic connectivity to dozens of study centers. In curriculum and quality assurance, Professor Peters revitalized curriculum governance by strengthening the Curriculum Review Committee, insisting on external review of programs, and embedding soft skills, leadership, communication, employability, and personal development into the curriculum. NOUN adopted the National Universities Commission's core curriculum minimum academic standard, CC-MAS, with a 30% institutional component and introduced new programs in emerging fields, such as artificial intelligence and robotics. He established a full-fledged quality assurance directorate which coordinated the development of over 70 policies, standard operating procedures, and monitoring and evaluation frameworks for NOUN operations. Under his leadership, NOUN achieved institutional accreditation from the Quality Assurance Agency. Under his leadership, NOUN achieved institutional accreditation from the Quality Assurance QAA, the first African ODL institution to attain this distinction. and secured full accreditation for numerous programs from the NUC and professional bodies. The strengthened curriculum and ODL practice also contributed to Nigeria's successful bid to host the UNESCO Category 2 International Media and Information Literacy Institute, EMILI, at NUN. He has been a strong supporter of the African Council for Distance Education's Quality Assurance and Accreditation Agency, ACDE QAAA, hosted at NOUN, promoting continental quality assurance instruments and the use of NOUN's platforms to strengthen ODL quality across Africa. A central theme of his tenure has been bridging the distance through robust learner support and service innovation. The Directorate of Counseling and Career Development was established, an e-counseling portal was developed, and a dedicated cadre for students with special needs was created, alongside Braille-enabled course materials for visually impaired learners. A digital ticketing system was introduced to ensure that student complaints are logged, tracked, and resolved within defined timelines, anchored by the NUN Information and Call Center, while the e-link mobile portal now serves as a one-step student gateway. He also oversaw major service innovations in the registry and bursary directorates, including direct delivery of student certificates, processing of transcripts within 48 hours, and the digitalization of the APA form and bursary processes, enhancing transparency, responsiveness, and staff productivity. In practical learning, sideways, fieldwork, practicum, and teaching practice, he led the establishment of regional laboratories across all 6 geopolitical zones, refurbishment of central science laboratories in Abuja and Lagos, and deployment of simulation-based virtual laboratories. He replaced the rigid 4-week block residency with a flexible semester-long model. Permanently deployed laboratory technologies to centers, championed a comprehensive students' practical handbook, and established a Drosophila laboratory for pharmacological and bioscience research. Under his leadership, NOUN Center for Human Resource Development, CHRD, and the Directorate for Entrepreneurship and General Studies, DE and GS, have become vibrant engines of skills acquisition, employability, and community impact. Through flexible non-degree and micro-certification programs, CHRD has enhanced livelihoods and deepened NOUN's corporate social responsibility, while DE and GS has embedded entrepreneurship and practical skills into NOUN's programs, promoting a culture of innovation, self-reliance, and job creation, so that graduates leave with both certificates and concrete competencies to start and sustain viable enterprises. NOUN's library system has also been fully modernized into a powerful hybrid network, supporting teaching, learning, and research across all sites. The Central Library moved from a temporary facility to a purpose-built 700-seat complex with integrated library software, a robust e-library, institutional repository, solar and fiber optic connectivity, and additional computers. By 2025, print holdings had grown from under 60,000 to about 132,000 volumes. More than 30 study center and faculty libraries had been established or upgraded nationwide, and users had access to leading global databases such as EBS Co-host, Science Direct, Scopus, ProQuest, Justo, MDPI, eLibrary USA, Lexis, and Law Pavilion. He created the Directorate of Research Administration, DRA, and a 150 million naira per annum Senate research grant, leading to a steady rise in funded projects, publications, and the visibility of NOUN scholars. From 2021 to 2025, More than 2,600 staff benefited from training, with TED Fund-supported postgraduate and conference opportunities, fair access policies, strengthened partnerships, and dedicated IT development funds that supported certifications and skills upgrading in key digital areas. Beyond NOUN and NSPRI, Professor Peters has contributed significantly to ODL across Africa. He has consulted for the Commonwealth of Learning and the African Council for Distance Education, ACDE, on dual mode policy, quality assurance, and institutional capacity building, supporting universities in Ghana, Cameroon, Rwanda, and Nigeria. As first Vice President of ACDE, he helped shape continental policy, standards, and collaboration in distance education. He has been instrumental in nurturing the Open Distance and E-Learning Association of Nigeria, ODLAN, encouraging NOUN's active participation and using the association as a platform for sharing good practice among dual mode and single mode ODL institutions. In 2025, he was conferred one of the first two fellowships of ODLAN, a rare honor that reflects his stature in the national ODL community. He also repositioned the Regional Training and Research Institute for Distance and Open Learning, RITHRIDL, as a more visible and proactive training hub, intensifying capacity building workshops.
Just a minute, please. Sorry to interject. This is to let us know that the Honorable Minister of State for Education, representing the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Sueba, is here with us to witness this all-important event. The Honorable Minister, this is to let you know that you've not missed quite a lot. We just started. What just simply transpired was the address of welcome by the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Council, and now you just join us at the ripe moment where we are listening or we are hearing the citation of the outgoing Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters, has been rendered by Dr. Matthew Oguche. Dr. Matthew Oguche, you may please continue.
He also repositioned the Regional Training and Research Institute for Distance and Open Learning, RITHRIDL, as a more visible and proactive training hub, intensifying capacity building workshops and short courses across Nigeria and West Africa. These efforts contributed to RITHRIDL's receipt of the Global Smart Education Innovation Prize in 2025. In the same year, his contributions to open, flexible, and distance learning were recognized globally with the ICDE Individual Prize of Excellence. Professor Peters is a fellow or member of several professional bodies, including the Chemical Society of Nigeria, the Institute of Public Analysts of Nigeria, and the Open and Distance E-Learning Association of Nigeria. He has served on national committees of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. As a researcher, he has authored more than 60 publications in polymer chemistry, materials science, agriculture, and ODL, and supervised over 15 postgraduate students, including several PhD graduates, at least 4 of whom have themselves become professors. For the NOUN community and the broader higher education sector gathered at this auspicious send-off event, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters stands as a teacher, mentor, institution builder, and quiet reformer whose work has helped to bridge the distance for thousands of learners in Nigeria and across Africa. His career of over 4 decades, spanning ABU Zaria, NOUN, NSPRI, ODLAN, ACDE, and RITHRIDL, embodies a life dedicated to expanding access, deepening quality, and linking research and innovation to national development. The Honorable Minister, Council Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in rising to applaud and welcome the man, an intellectual giant and visionary leader, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters, for an extremely impactful life of meritorious service.
Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. First of all, let me warmly welcome the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Professor Sueba Said Ahmed, representing the Honorable Minister, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa. You are welcome, ma'am. Just when he started reading the citation of the outgoing Vice-Chancellor, if you noticed, and if you are a player of the old school, you understand from the angle I'm coming from. He started speaking as if someone who is to devour a very hot akara. Then at a point, his attention was drawn, and he sounded like, you know that music player we call a turntable? Professor Mafiana will key into it because he was a DJ at one time. Then the pitch control was controlled. Then he started speaking very slowly. In any case, the bottom line was the speed he took off with. If he was to maintain that speed, he would have presented that citation within the agreed time frame. Because the man we are celebrating today, he was reading a citation of over 40 years of educational experience. So to read it or to compress it within an agreeable few minutes, it's going to be a difficult time. So I understand from the pitch he took off with. And so to make him go that lane again, it's another thing entirely. But again, we'll be summarizing all that he has said in a beautiful video. The Department of Media and Publicity of the National Open University of Nigeria decided to greet this audience with a special documentary of who this celebrant is, or what this celebrant meant to the National Open University of Nigeria. Please, the technical crew, let's have the video, please. The documentary on Professor Olufemi Peters.
The story of leadership is often told through milestones, but true impact is felt in the quiet transformation of lives, institutions, and dreams. At the National Open University of Nigeria, the past 5 years have been marked by a remarkable journey, a journey steered by a visionary leader whose tenure has redefined the boundaries of open and distance learning in Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters. The university, under Professor Peters, welcomed and installed the Oba of Benin, Ewari II, as the NOUN Chancellor, while His Excellency Malam Isa Yuguda, CON, was named as the Pro-Chancellor by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the visitor. But as the curtain draws on his tenure, we embark on a journey of reflection, celebrating not just the end of an era, but the indelible legacy of a man whose leadership transformed the open and distance learning mode of learning, not only at the university, but in Nigeria at large. On the 21st of February, 2021, the reins of leadership of the National Open University of Nigeria changed hands, and Professor Olufemi Peters assumed duty as the Vice-Chancellor, taking over from his predecessor, Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu. Right from his first day in office, Professor Peters left no one in doubt of his desire to bring change and take the university to even greater heights.
Usually when you want to have an office like this. There are so many ideas that come to your head. Some you will be able to fulfill, some you will not. But I think generally, I think I can say that I've been extremely lucky. I want to thank God that those things that I had set out to do, and I've been able to do them majorly.
Within the 5 years of his tenure as Vice-Chancellor, Professor Peters has led the National Open University of Nigeria with passion and commitment. Under him, the university prioritized academic excellence, staff welfare, and linkages. His stewardship witnessed an unprecedented growth in student enrollment, affirming the university's place as Africa's largest open and distance learning institution. But beyond the numbers, there was a renewed focus on academic integrity and innovation, as attested by all and sundry.
Some 10 years ago, it would have been difficult to get people from the University of Ibadan to attend the NOUN program. But now, there is nobody who receives an invitation from the NOUN that will not gladly honor it. So overnight, within this period of 4 years, the trajectory has changed.
I'm very proud of what Professor Peters has done over the years, not only here in Nigeria, and some of you may know her from Nigeria, but I know her international stature, especially in the continent, when we worked together to establish the African Council for Distance Education.
There has been a lot of tremendous progress made at National Open University in terms of even acceptability of open distance learning. And again, I've seen him as somebody that likes to support a lot of younger people to move up.
A new faculty of computing was created, new programs introduced, existing faculties were strengthened, and partnerships were forged locally and internationally, with the sole aim of ensuring that students received not just a certificate, but a transformational education.
Our university is in the forefront of technology delivery. And around 2023, the NUC, National Universities Commission, was trying to emphasize the growing relevance and importance of IT in our educational system. So they suggested that we could remove computer science out of Faculty of Science into a faculty on its own. Many universities are still foot dragging. But because this is National Open University of Nigeria, heavily dependent on the computing, we decided that to take the bull by the horn and establish a faculty.
Under the leadership of Professor Olufemi Peters, the university had the opportunity of creating its third Deputy Vice-Chancellor on Technology, Innovation and Research. The office was created to set the university on the map of emerging trends in innovation and research. Today, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor on Technology, Innovation and Research coordinates the software development unit of the university, and they have recorded notable milestones and made wonderful discoveries.
When I became Vice-Chancellor, one of the things I've noticed while being DVC was that gradually the university was becoming very dependent on technology, usage, production. And I looked at the positions of the Deputy Vice-Chancellors. I realized that the VC could not in any palpable way be able to offer service if it doesn't have a staff dedicated for that. So it was obvious to me that aside from the very first few acts that I will do as Vice-Chancellor was to create an office that would be totally concentrated on technology.
During his tenure, we also saw the need to create a software development unit. Instead of paying people to buy a license for their software, why can't we develop our own?
We, in most cases, as the need arises from the other various departments and directorates, once there is a need for digitization, we are informed. We take it upon ourselves, take out analysis, design the system, and then implement. If you are within the academic sector, like the DEA, for example, examination result computation and presentation system. We call it ERP, fully digitized and managed by this unit.
Under Professor Peters' watch, NOUN FM station at the headquarters in Abuja is about to kick off with the purchase of the radio equipment as well as securing the license, paving the way for the total overhaul of the transmission and recording studios. Peters had already invested in the upgrade of the NOUN FM radio station based in Lagos.
There is a university called the Open University UK. One of their major output was radio broadcast and television broadcast. Indeed, as a student in England, on a Saturday morning from 7 till 11, you listen to TV broadcast from the Open University UK. So it has always been a means of getting to your students far and wide. And that was the idea of this university, trying to get a radio license and be able to have an impression through the TV broadcast. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that of the TV broadcast. The idea is that you have a timetable for certain courses to be aired, and you will tell your students to tune in to hear such broadcasts, which is basically a lecture. We were able to do that initially in Lagos, but we've not been able to do that once we moved in here. And that's the reason why we've acquired a license for Abuja. And I'm extremely grateful to the Directorate of Media and Publicity, who struggled to get that for Abuja, and who is also in the move to get the one for Kano and then for Port Harcourt.
Equally, during the period under review, research took on a new prominence. Faculties were encouraged to pursue impactful research projects addressing national challenges, from public health to technology, environmental sustainability to social policy. By supporting research centers as well as floating a multi-million naira research grant, Professor Olufemi Peters effectively created an environment where innovation thrived and where solutions to Nigeria's most pressing problems could be developed.
The first meeting he had with the Senate, he made a pronouncement that he is going to be releasing funds as the Senate fiscal grant for the university, which he has been doing since the beginning of his tenure up to this present moment. Initially, he first of all released about 100 million and then later increased it to 150 million every year.
Within the last 12 months, our staff, led by a multidisciplinary field, have been able to patent 2 research efforts. And we are currently doing the pilot production.
One of the earliest mark of Peters' administration was the transformation of the National Open University of Nigeria Information Communication Center, NICC, formerly known as VICC. It was rebranded, expanded, and renamed by the VC, and the vision and scope of the center was therefore extended.
Before, it was called Visitors Information Call Center. Visitors means you have to go there. Are you getting it now? But now, if we are going to use technology, it means you have to remove the word visitors and just put National Open University Information, now Call Center. Call Center meaning that we have introduced technology and you don't need to come to go to a study center, because we now have to use technology. Developed a call system software with 24 workstations, marked 24 hours of the day.
It has been a game changer in transforming the university's public image, with NICC interfacing with students, bridging the gap between the university and our students, addressing their issues promptly. This has actually curbed insistent harassment of the university by bad press releases. Our data shows that the NICC handles approximately 14,450 tickets monthly during regular periods, averaging about 483 interactions per day. And during peak periods, this rises significantly to about 27,614 tickets monthly, with a daily average of about 920 interactions. Of course, addressing all these tickets effectively.
Alongside academic reforms, Peters worked hand in hand with the National Universities Commission, NUC, under its Executive Secretary, Professor Abdullahi Yusufu Ribadu, such that NOUN's academic programs secured the Commission's Clean Bill of Health during each round of accreditation exercise. Evidently,
we need to just stop it right there. This documentary is about 30 minutes length. The full video can be watched on our YouTube channel or on any of our social media platforms. This is just a tip of what Professor Olufemi Peters has transformed the university into. There are a lot of things to be said in this documentary. So I would admonish that we please key into the NOUN YouTube channel to watch a full version of that documentary. Thank you very much on that. And this readily brings us to the avenue where we'll be harvesting some goodwill messages. Now, in this order, we will be taking goodwill messages from members of council, one member of the council representing the council, one member representing principal officers, one representing the Senate representative, one congregation representative, and of course, the last on that order is the director of the African Center of Excellence on Technology Enhanced Learning. So to roll the ball and for us to be on the same page, I would like to invite Dr. Godwin Etta on behalf of the council for a goodwill message.
Honorable Minister, my Chairman, Pro-Chancellor, the Vice-Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor designate, all other protocols duly and well observed. In every society, order is not kept by walls of stone, but by the unseen strength of integrity. Integrity is very, very important. And so it is with Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters, our Vice-Chancellor, who has stood as the just sentinel at the gates of learning. He has been the quiet guardian of order, ensuring that excellence is not left to chance. But guided by clear vision and disciplined purpose. Where others see chaos, he discerns patterns. Where others are daunted by challenges, he constructs systems that endure. He leads not by the rod, or not with the rod of fear, but with the scepter of fairness, proving that the most powerful law is the law written on the human heart. In criminology, the finest investigator is not the one that punishes crime after it's been committed, but the one who designs a society in which crime finds no fertile ground. So too has Professor Peters built a university climate where mediocrity cannot thrive, where integrity is the norm, and where each scholar is inspired to rise to nobler heights. He is, in every sense, a custodian of order, a judge of excellence, and a restorative hand whose calm discipline has turned potential disorder into lasting harmony. When the night is darkest, it is the watchman's lamp that saves the city. And when the future seems uncertain, it is the sentinel's steadiness that secures the dawn. So has Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters kept the flame of order and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. National Open University will miss you as you exit. But let me add, I was chatting with him in his office the other day, and I said to him, it will be a disservice to the university and a disservice to yourself if you exit and we see you no more. So you are exiting temporarily. We are giving you just few months to come back and tell us where to engage you so that what your product will be properly nurtured. God will continue to bless you in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Godwin Etta. Dr. Godwin Etta is not only a council member, but he chaired, actually, he is the chair of this committee that is organizing this reception. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this so that if you are not well fed here or not well taken care of, we begin to know where to pursue our black goat before it gets dark. In any case, like the Hausa proverb will say, you know, so from the sorry please, what that simply means is from what we are seeing on the table, we can as well call some people at home to tell them that, look, you may after all just dash somebody our dinner. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to on this note invite from the principal officers level, Professor Angela Okpala, to represent her colleague with some goodwill message, please.
Honorable Minister, Chairman of Council, other council members, VC designates, other VCs here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the principal officers of National Open University of Nigeria, we have come to express our gratitude to a transformational leader. Transformational because he intrinsically motivated us, and of course, the NOUN community. He has served as a source of inspiration to many beyond National Open University. The testaments of which you can see. When I started, I have to bring with him, it was as if we were not understanding each other. But after a while, I discovered that he was an epitome of humility. He got to understand me and to understand where we were going to. I understood his vision. It can only take profound humility for a professor of his caliber to come down to your level and understand you. Thus, I was not surprised that he replicated the same in all other departments. He could champion innovations because of his humility, he would understand it better than you. I enjoin you to emulate Professor Olufemi Peters. Where are we now? The library. The library is fully digitalized, powered by solar, and driven by fiber optics, globally visible. No wonder. We get full accreditation for all programs. I mean all. On behalf of the principal officers of National Open University of Nigeria, we express our immense gratitude for bringing out the best, the very best in us through your teamwork and your crave for excellence. Thank you for being selfless. We shall always miss you. Thank you, Professor Peters.
Thank you very much, Professor Angela Okpala. No doubt, we will greatly miss you, Professor Olufemi Peters. But like to borrow from what Dr. Gordon Etta said earlier, we are only going for a few months, after which we will decide, or you will decide, where we will re-engage you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly invite at this moment from the Senate Representative, Professor Charity Okonkwo.
The Honorable Minister, the Chairman, the distinguished members of NOUN community, esteemed colleagues, and friends of NOUN. I rise today with a heart full of gratitude and a deep sense of shared history. My NOUN journey began with Professor Olufemi Peters. He was on the panel that hired me in 2002. By 2003, I had the privilege of serving under his leadership in the Faculty of Science as his very first examination officer. From those early days, he saw something in me I was still discovering, a niche in measurement and evaluation, because then I was just a fresh graduate of measurement and evaluation. He consistently called on me to facilitate workshops, championing a culture where the integrity of our assessment was sacred. He maintained that trust in my ability to add value to NOUN's assessments as he climbs the academic ladder. From Dean of the Faculty to the Director of Examination and Assessment, to the Director of Academic Planning, then to Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic, and finally, the Vice-Chancellor of the NOUN. That's why I usually call him my Dean, because first and foremost, he was my Dean. This is in no small measure shaped my career, and for that, I remain grateful to you, sir. A reflection among friends. Having worked with Peters for this length of years, I think I should be in a position to reflect. Professor Peters, after so many years in the trench together, I hope you will allow me a moment of friendly candor. We all know and admire your legendary fighting spirit, the formidable engine that built the NOUN we see today. Yet, as you step into the beautiful new chapter, I have two heartfelt wishes. 1. On a gentler season. For the man who built mountains with his tenacity, may you now find equal joy in the gentle act of pausing to enjoy the view. May this new season grant you the grace to let the breeze carry you, carry away the smaller worries, leaving room for laughter, relaxation, and the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. You have done the good fight. This is the time to come down and enjoy. On the joy of the harvest, your achievements are monumental, but they are all shared. While your vision led the way, it is a joy to know that many of us, as testified by even the librarian, and many that I'm representing here from the Senate, while your vision led the way, it is a joy to know that many of us contributed our small seeds to your great harvest. Your story is beautifully ours too, because if you have failed, we have also failed. If you succeed, we also succeeded. A constellation of colleagues who we are proud to walk this path with you, and I'm one of them. A final charge, our shared legacy. To honor your legacy, we must never forget that NOUN study centers are the lifeblood of our institution. Beyond physical structures, we must invest in their hearts. Staffing, processes, and accountability. To safeguard the standards you fought so hard to uphold. Professor Peters, my dean, my vice-chancellor, you hired me, you mentored me, and you challenged me. For your leadership, your mentorship, and your friendship, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. On behalf of all of us, I wish you a retirement overflowing with robust health, great peace, and the quiet fulfillment of a legacy well earned. Thank you, sir. And thank you, NOUN community and friends of NOUN, for honoring this invitation. You are all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. I please, she deserves another round of applause. You see, this is always where I always have problem with academics. You can never give an academic, particularly professors, goodwill message to present and tell them to be brief, and they will remember that brief. They will never be brief. In fact, anytime you ask, it's a mini paper presentation. There will be an introduction, research methodology, quantitative or qualitative analysis before you get to the conclusion, and of course, appendix. In any case, thank you very much for that presentation, Professor Charity Okonkwo. It was for her an emotional one, but to let you know, or to borrow from the words of Professor Dr. Godwin, by the grace of God, will be professor. You are climbing the ladder. He says the man is not going just for he's going for a few months, after which we will recall him and of course reassign him to where he will be very useful to us. Of course, he has been very useful to us. As we keep on with the pace of today's program, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on Mr. John Ubaji, representing the congregation, the congregation representative for his presentation. After Mr. John Ubaji, we will take Professor Grace Joktan, and we'll conclude with the Dean PG School, Professor Sonny Enie.
The Honorable Minister, the Chairman of the National Open University of Nigeria Governing Council, the outgoing Vice-Chancellor, and the incoming Vice-Chancellor, other Vice-Chancellors, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to be brief. I'm not a professor, I'm not a lecturer, I'm an administrator. And so I'm not going to spend more than 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here on behalf of the congregation of the National Open University of Nigeria. And it has been a very remarkable period of 5 years with Professor Peters as the Vice-Chancellor. What else will I say about him that have not been said? I will only point out 2 things that I personally have observed or benefited while working with Professor Femi Peters. Professor Femi Peters happened to be the 4th Vice-Chancellor that I have personally worked with. And I discovered that for each of these Vice-Chancellors, each of them all have their own signature on the National Open University of Nigeria, whether physical, in terms of infrastructures, and so on and so forth. And we all can see and identify with them. If you go to Lagos, you will see the signature of the first Vice-Chancellor. You will see the signature of the second Vice-Chancellor. Coming to Abuja here, you also see these signatures for the third and the fourth Vice-Chancellor respectively, including that of Professor Peters. Now, like I said, I only say 2 things about him. The first thing I observe about him is that he's a silent achiever. He does not make noise. I think you only see what he does. And I appreciate that a lot. That's one of the things I've learned from him. And secondly, very remarkable thing is his open door policy. Professor Peters opens his doors. You meet him, you discuss with him. He will listen to you. He has a good listening ears. You have your discussion with him. But having your way after the discussion, that one is left. But at least he will give you a listening ears. That I give it to him. So, like I said, I'm not going to take more time. I only spend 2 minutes. I want to tell you that, Professor Peter, we are going to miss you as congregation members. And like they have also said, we are looking forward to having you and to work with you. We wish you the best in your future endeavor. Thank you very much. Bless.
Thank you very much. An astute administrator that he is, Mr. John Obaji somehow lived within the boundaries of 2 minutes. You're welcome. Let me, before we invite the next person to speak, let me very expressly recognize Alhaji Tajuddin Ibrahim. Please, can you stand up for recognition, please? Alhaji Tajuddin Ibrahim is a very, very close friend to the outgoing Vice-Chancellor. In fact, a very, very intimate friend of his. I wish I knew you earlier than now. In any case, you're welcome, sir. Let me at this moment invite Professor Grace Joktan. Professor Grace Joktan is the Center Director of African Center of Excellence on Technology Enhanced Learning, ESTEL, an NUC, World Bank, French Development Bank sponsored program. So you can see even from her outing, it's World Bank standard. Professor Grace Joktan, please, 2 minutes, because I know you've done quite a lot in your center and there are so many things Professor Olufemi Peters has done in that center. So compress everything in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education, the Pro-Chancellor, and Chairman of the Governing Council of the National Open University of Nigeria, distinguished members of Council, the VC designate, other former Vice-Chancellors, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. It is with a deep sense of honor and institutional pride that I stand to extend a goodwill message from the Africa Center of Excellence on Technology-Enhanced Learning. ESTEL was established in 2019 following a competitive World Bank process under the visionary leadership of the immediate past Vice-Chancellor, Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, who laid a solid foundation and ensured the center's successful takeoff. In 2021, Professor Olufemi Peters assumed leadership as the Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University. This is at a critical phase of the center's evolution. He not merely sustained it, but also strategically positioned it for maturity, impact, and long-term relevance. Under Professor Peters' leadership, ESTEL evolved from a promising initiative into a fully established, globally recognized center of excellence. His guidance offered clear direction, aligned policies, and steadfast institutional backing, allowing ESTEL to achieve its goals with measurable results. Today, the center proudly reports reaching a performance level of 97.1%, reflecting not only operational efficiency, but also purposeful strategic leadership. Beyond numbers, Professor Peters championed institutional integration, ensuring ESTEL was embedded within the university's academic structure and digital architecture. This enables sustainable systems, strengthened postgraduate delivery, expanded research output, and supported the establishment of 7 state-of-the-art laboratories and a central data infrastructure that now serves the wider university. His tenure also strengthened internationalization, expanding ESTEL's reach across Africa and beyond through global partnerships, diverse student enrollment, international certification, international accreditation, collaboration that position NOUN as a continental reference point for digital education. Perhaps most importantly, Professor Peters led ESTEL with foresight beyond the ACE cycle. By supporting ESTEL's sustainability frameworks, capacity development, and institutional ownership, he ensured that ESTEL emerged with a strong post-ACE posture, confident, resilient, and future-ready. Sir, your leadership not merely supervised a project, it enabled ESTEL to find its voice, implement its deliverables, and establish global relevance. On behalf of ESTEL team, we thank you for the trust, the space to innovate, and the strategic guidance that made excellence possible. As you conclude your tenure, you leave behind not just the ESTEL structure, but a living legacy of transformation. ESTEL stands today as one of that legacies. We wish you good health and continued success in your future endeavors, and we assure you that the foundation you built and strengthened will continue to make an impact for Africa and the global digital education community. Thank you for teaching us so much, and congratulations.
4 decades of engagement within the education space is already a success. So good health is what we should be wishing Professor Olufemi Peters. So World Bank, Professor Grace Joktan, we thank you for that. To close these goodwill messages, Honorable Minister, with your kind permission, I would like to invite the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Sonny Onie.
All my fellow speakers that came here earlier have been standing on existing protocols. Please permit me to say, I would like to sit on existing protocols. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends of National Open University of Nigeria, it is with profound gratitude and joy that we gather today to honor an exceptional leader whose visionary stewardship has transformed the School of Postgraduate Studies into a beacon of academic excellence. Professor Olufemi Peters, our outgoing Vice-Chancellor, has left an indelible mark on this institution, one that will inspire generations of scholars. His tenure has not only elevated our postgraduate programs, but has positioned NOUN as a pace setter in open and distance learning across Nigeria and beyond. Allow me to highlight some of his remarkable contributions that have reshaped School of Postgraduate Studies. First, under Professor Peters' resolute leadership, he witnessed the successful completion of the School of Postgraduate Studies building. This facility stands as a testament to his commitment to providing classy infrastructure, creating an enabling environment for administration, research, and learning. Additionally, all postgraduate students of this university are exposed to advanced e-learning platforms, to robust virtual libraries, and smart classrooms. These tools have bridged geographical gaps, empowered distance learnings, and prepared our students for the digital age, ensuring NOUN remains at the forefront of educational technology in Nigeria and Africa. Professor Peters championed the aggressive development of postgraduate studies across all faculties in the university. His strategic initiatives, expanded program offerings, fostered interdisciplinary collaborations, and instilled a culture of excellence, making the postgraduate education accessible and impactful for a diverse student body. In a move that underscores his forward-thinking approach, he provided an enabling secretariat within the School of Postgraduate Studies building for the Committee of Provosts and Deans of Colleges and Schools of Postgraduate Studies in Nigeria. He also ensured a dedicated office space for the Committee of Secretaries to the Provost and Deans of Postgraduate Colleges and Schools in Nigeria. These provisions have strengthened national networks, facilitated knowledge sharing, and elevated NOUN's role in shaping postgraduate policy across the country. The results of these efforts are tangible and transformative. The number of postgraduate students tripled during his tenure. What was once a modest cohort has grown into a vibrant community of NOUN Postgraduate Alumni Association, reflecting increased enrollment, retention, and success rates that speak volumes about his dedication to expanding opportunities. As an exemplar of his visionary thoughtfulness, Professor Peters convenes the University Council under the able chairmanship of Malam Isa Yiguda to name the School of Postgraduate Studies building after Professor Olugbemi Rojagere, the second Vice-Chancellor of this great university. This gesture not only honors a pioneering figure, but also weaves our history into a fabric of our future, inspiring all who walk its halls. The evolution of School of Postgraduate Studies today is a direct outcome of Professor Peters' collaborative spirit. Through partnership with quality colleagues within NOUN and across Nigeria, he has built a resilient ecosystem that thrives on innovation, inclusivity, and excellence. On behalf of the board and staff of School of Postgraduate Studies, we extend our deepest wishes to Professor Olufemi Peters. We wish you greater heights in all your endeavors, robust good health, long life filled with purpose, boundless happiness, and continued contributions to National Open University of Nigeria, even as you step out of office. Your legacy endures in every corner of this university. Every graduate achievement and every policy that advances open education. Finally, thank you all for honoring Professor Olufemi Peters today. Your presence celebrates not just one man's journey, but the shared pursuit of knowledge that defines us. May you all be recognized and honored. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sonny Oni. You know, Bidemi, please, can you illuminate the place better? Bidemi, if you can hear me, please illuminate the place better. Good. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the goodwill message part. And now we are slipping into one of the main items on our schedule today, which is a lecture by our guest lecturer. To read a brief citation of this, our guest lecturer, I would like to invite the immediate past Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, who is our guest speaker today. No, he will not take 2 minutes now. Well, when you stand very close to a man who is he's wearing a 2 professorial cap, double professor. Sometimes I don't know from where I will read his citation from. As my former boss, I will try to be brief also in reading his citation. Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, or rather, Abdallah Uba Adamu is a professor of science education as well as a professor of media and cultural communication at Bayero University, Kano, Nigeria. His main research focus is media, cultural communication at Bayero University, media, cultural studies, pop culture, ethnography, social, cultural, and media anthropologies. He was a Fulbright African Senior Research Scholar at the University of California, Berkeley, between 1991 to 1992. He was also a European Union visiting professor at the University of Warsaw in Poland from 2012. He served as a visiting professor at the State University of Rutgers, New Jersey, the University of Florida, Gainesville in United States, the London School of African Oriental and African Studies, UK, the University of Cologne, Humboldt University, the University of Hamburg in Germany, the University of Basel, Switzerland, and the Institute of Mediterranean and Oriental Cultures of the Polish Academy of Sciences, Warsaw. His researches have been published over 145 research papers in Research in African Literatures, Humanities, Politics, Africa and Asian Studies, Journal of African Media Studies, the Annual Review of Islam in Africa, Journal of African Literature Association, Hemisphere Studies of Cultures and Societies, and others. He has also presented papers at over 265 scientific conferences in Africa, United States, and Europe. His books included Hausa Cinema of Northern Nigeria, Cultural Imperialism and Censorship, Bloomsbury Academy, New York, 2025, Transgold Media Flows and Hausa Pop Culture, Visual Ethnographic, Kano, 2004, Status of Open and Distance Learning in Nigeria, Commonwealth of Learning, Canada, 2022, and Reform and Adaptation in Nigerian Higher Education, Living on a Credit Line, the Edwin Mellon Press, New York, 1994. 3 fetchcrafts were published in his honor. These were Media, Knowledge Transfer and African Identity, a fetchcraft in honor of Abdallah Uba Adamu, Bayero University Press, 2018, Educational Issues, Development and Innovations, fetchcraft in honor of Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, National Open University of Nigeria Press, 2020, and Pedagogy, Teaching and Learning in Contemporary Nigeria, a fetchcraft in honor of Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, African Diaspora Press, Houston, Texas, in 2021. He served a single-term tenure as the Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, NOUN, from 2016 to 2019. 21, sorry, I beg your pardon. He was part of the team that resuscitated the university in 2002. He is a filmmaker, ethnomusicologist, and digital archaeologist, and has channels on YouTube. His website is www.auaadamu.com. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, present to you our guest speaker, the Nze Okawame I of Enugu, the Oruakpo of Emevo, and the Alfarin Kanu, Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, double professor.
I'm glad to note that Ambrose has not lost his Bula perspective of all this. Now, I don't know what he's going to say about the new coming in Vice-Chancellor, because he always has a name for a Vice-Chancellor. And so we don't know the kind of chieftaincy titles you are going to get, and we're looking forward to it. The Honorable Minister of Education, ably represented by my daughter, who happens to also be now my boss, Professor Suwaiba Ahmad, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, the Chairman, Governing Council, and Pro-Chancellor, who happened to be a schoolmate. He was in, I think in ABU, he was in Maiduguri, I was in ABU, and I could see him sort of dancing, remembering Shalama and Kool and the Gang. When those tunes were being played, we like to pretend we are old, but we really are young at heart. So we asked that they should play Pilaran Samkuti, because Pilaran Samkuti was also our hero, and he was celebrated last week at the Grammy Awards. His Excellency Malam Isayuguda, the outgoing Vice-Chancellor Olufemi Peters, a personal friend. We traveled together a lot. We were at Lokoja for a whole month, resuscitating the university under the guidance of Professor Olu Jegedi, and that's when we first became deep friends. We have known each other in ABU since then, before then, together with Joshua Oniye, who was my bench mate in Ahmadu Bello University Department of Biological Sciences. So to me, NOUN is really a home with the VC and Joshua. Joktan was also there with us at Lokoja, and a whole bunch of other people. The incoming Vice-Chancellor, Professor Oduma, whom I call the Guduma. Okay? So Oduma, the Guduma, is the incoming Vice-Chancellor, because when he starts hammering, he really gets through his way. That's why he was able to force me to establish a school, the Department of Philosophy, which I thought was just useless. But together with the old man over there, Professor Sogolu, Uduma used his Guduma, and eventually we established a Department of Philosophy, which I thought would never take off. I was shocked when I learned that they have over 100 students. And I was like, how can 100 people actually study philosophy? They have 400, it's just incredible. What do people do actually when they study philosophy? I mean, I know what you do when you are an engineer, when you are a linguist, when you are a mass communicator, but when you are just dealing with the philosophies of dead white people, I wonder what you do with that. But we will see what we can do with that. My friend, former Vice-Chancellor, whom I took over from Professor Vincent Adotenebi, he is my brother from a different father and mother. We have always been together, and I always cherish you, man. Really, really cherish you together. Let us not be in any doubt. It was Tenebi who created this campus of National Open University. Let us accept that. It was like somebody has cooked something, and I just simply came and just joined at the table and ate it. He has done all the wahala, all the trouble. He did it. All I did was occupy it. So, Vincent, Mungo de Koregaski, Allah Bazumunchi. Other members of the governing council, whom I'm meeting for the very first time, I have no business to meet with the members of the governing council except under these kind of occasions. I'm glad to have met you, sirs and ma'ams. Officers, staff, and members of NOUN community, my people, I greet you. I greet you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one of the biggest issues with me is that I talk too much. And I know we are tired. Maybe we had our lunch, maybe we didn't. And that is why the minister decided I had to give her permission to leave, because she wanted to leave earlier, but I refused to allow her to leave until she told me she really is pressed up. So I have a paper that I am going to read, but I will make sure that I skip something that are fairly obvious or that are a little bit too long, so that as I'm talking, we're enjoying what do they call small chops and things like that. I beg, don't forget my own. Yeah, because I can smell it from here. No, I may be here talking and they will just simply forget me. So make you they pack my own. Make you they pack my own. Don't just leave me alone like that. Let me pack my own. So ladies and gentlemen, this is my presentation. I was asked to talk about Tomorrow University. But there is already a university called Tomorrow University that is located in Germany. But then if I change it to Future University, there is another university called Future University in India. So I decided to play around with the mandate given to me and just call it, how should the University of Tomorrow look like? That way, I will not be accused by the Vice-Chancellor of Tomorrow University in Germany of taking away the name of his university. Now, both the terms, Future University and the University of Tomorrow, are names of actual physical universities located in some parts of the world. And nevertheless, my brief keynote is conceptual reflection of what universities in the future should look like. This is predicated upon the fundamentals of the rapid development and change in our higher delivery system. Technology has now become a commodity and ingrained as part of our collective social architecture and moral opacity. I will therefore approach this address from the considerations of the drivers for future university in three distinct symphonic movements: diagnosis, reframing, and projection. Let's look at the first movement. For those of you who are interested in music, or you have studied classical music, movements are segments of classical musical composition. So my first movement is about diagnostics. Let me start with the concept of diploma disease. This was a term coined by Rondeau, of the Institute of Development Studies, Sussex University, UK, in 1976. He applied the term to describe the phenomenon where individuals prioritize obtaining a formal educational degree over acquiring practical skills or experience that are directly relevant to their chosen career path. This concept highlights the potential mismatch between skills acquired through formal education and the skills required in the job market. In Doe's research, he observed how societies place a significant emphasis on educational credentials as a measure of competence and employability. This societal emphasis on degrees often leads to a situation where individuals believe that a diploma alone will guarantee them success career. However, in reality, many jobs demand a combination of theoretical knowledge and practical skills that may not be fully addressed by traditional education systems. Doe's conception of education, especially in the global South, has been repeatedly confirmed year after year since its original conception. Despite the great strides made in information and communication technologies and latterly artificial intelligence, the fundamental structure of university education in global South, including Nigeria, remains fixated on the acquisition of credentials and certification. In Doe's account, schooling expanded not because societies require more knowledge, but because diplomas have become the principal currency for employment, mobility, and social recognition. Education, in effect, became a waiting room for jobs that no longer existed. I will illustrate with my own state, Kano, which reflects something of a paradox. This state was often considered educationally disadvantaged, despite centuries of traditional indigenous scholarship. And at the same time, in 2026, Kano has 14 universities, 6 public universities and 8 private universities making up those 14, thus emphasizing Doe's argument about obsession with certificates. None of these universities is a computer or ICT university, with the exception of El Razi Medical University. They are teaching a menu of the same courses, and this included 17 study centers of the National Open University of Nigeria. So if you add 17 plus 16, Kano has probably the largest number of universities located in one place. And they're all teaching the same thing, the same curriculum, not taking into consideration what the future may look like. Those diagnoses, therefore, was rooted in the global South of the 1970s and 1980s. Post-colonial societies with expanding school systems, narrow labor markets, and a bureaucratic inheritance that rewarded paper qualifications over demonstrable skills. Yet, the question today in 2026 is not whether Doe was right then, but whether his diagnosis still holds now. The answer is that the diploma disease has not disappeared, it has changed its form. What we see today is not the decline of credentialism, but its intensification under new conditions. Diplomas no longer function primarily as tickets into stable public sector employment. Instead, they operate as anticipatory signals in an environment of uncertainty, signals aimed not at known employers, but at opaque systems, recruiting algorithms, migration regimes, donor bureaucracies, ranking tables, and globalized labor markets, whose rules are neither transparent or stable. In this new configuration, education is no longer pursued with a clear occupational destination in mind. It is pursued as insurance against exclusions. Credentials are accumulated not because they guarantee opportunity, but because the absence of credentials almost certainly guarantees marginality. This shift helps us to understand a crucial paradox of our time. Never before have the graduates been so educated, and never before has the value of any single qualification been so fragile. As access to education has expanded, certificates have undergone inflation. What a bachelor's degree scored in 1980s is now demands a master's degree. Professional certification, short courses, fellowships, digital badges, and international exposure. The disease persists not because people believe blindly in diplomas, but because they cannot afford to stop believing in them. Importantly, digital learning has not cured this condition. Online courses, micro-credentials, and modular certification were expected to disrupt the tyranny of the diploma. Instead, they have multiplied credentials, stratified platforms, and reproduced hierarchies of prestige. The problem has not been the scarcity of credentials, but their overabundance, combined with persistent inequality in whose credentials count. For the global South, this dynamic is particularly pronounced. In many societies, certificates still carry immense symbolic weight. They structure marriage prospects, legitimize leadership, authorize migration, and signal moral discipline in as much as technical competence. Even when the labor markets fail, education continues to function as a form of social protection, a way of postponing uncertainty, asserting worth, and maintaining hope. Seen this way, the diploma disease today is no longer best understood as a pathology of modernization, as though originally framed it. It is better understood as a pathology of uncertainty. Education systems are being asked to do what economics and states increasingly cannot. That is, provide predictability, legitimacy, and futures. And that is why the diploma remains so powerful. Not because it guarantees success, but because in an unequal and unstable world, it remains the most widely recognized defense against exclusion. But that is all about to change. Now, let's look at the second chain and the framing. Transformation universities from traditional bounded campuses into knowledge ecosystems represent a fundamental shift towards an open, networked, and collaborative model where learning and research transcend physical boundaries. In this paradigm, universities function as central proactive hubs connecting diverse actors, industry, government, and community to foster innovation and create economic social values. The world is shifting faster than ever. By 2025, artificial intelligence, automation, and global disruptions have redefined not only the jobs of tomorrow, but also the skills required to thrive in them. Traditional theory-heavy curricula are giving away to more adaptive skills based on approaches. Universities around the world are acknowledging a present reality. Teaching knowledge alone is not enough. Preparing students with future skills is the new mission of higher education. AI-powered systems now handle functions one thought untouchable, from business analytics and legal research to aspects of diagnostics in health care. Generative AI, in particular, has disrupted sectors like content creation, education, and software development. AI just won't change the jobs. It will redefine what it means to work, think, and create. It also deconstructs education as we know it. A WIEC dropout with a cheap phone, strong internet connection, and curiosity in AI, and a TikTok account bound with massive imagination can earn more money per month than a senior professor, simply on the content he uploads, which often has no value to education or society, but represents a strong market force and enhances survivability. I know a TikToker who makes 4 million naira every month from the videos he uploads. None of the professors here makes 1 million naira a month, even with the promise of adding more money. And I hope they will start implementing it before Pemi leaves. tell them you are still part of the university system. So Basa is still part of the university system. So don't shortchange him when it comes to uploading. But the fact remains that the digital social world we have now makes more money for people than we in the university. And so there is less need for people to demand for the university education. They already have the future, whereas we are still stuck in the past. We are still stuck in the number of books, the libraries that we read. Nobody goes to the libraries now. Sorry, Dr. Opala, Professor Opala. The fact is, people now prefer to download these books free of charge from various repositories around. So that means we have to rethink what it means to be a library. Universities of the future will therefore focus on developing future skills beyond traditional academics, emphasizing cognitive flexibility, digital fluency, and socio-emotional intelligence to navigate complex AI-driven worlds, with key areas including critical thinking, creativity, adaptability, ethical reasoning, data literacy, and collaboration, all aimed at fostering societal transformation and sustainable futures, not just job readiness. These skills involve learning literacy, self-competence, and resilience, preparing graduates to solve novel problems and act as lifelong learners. The final movement, which is the third movement, the commodification of technology has forced universities worldwide to explore ways of embedding cross-cutting skills into all disciplines, ensuring graduates are not only knowledgeable but also adaptable. I'm strongly convinced, as someone who has spent 46 years as a teacher in the university, which included 5 as the Vice-Chancellor of Open University, the following are critical skill clusters future universities must deliberately cultivate. I'll just look at the subtopics. There is learning on how to learn. We have to relearn what we have learned. AI is making it easier. But at the same time, AI is also a wake-up call to our intelligence. Which one will you do? When I was given this topic, I first of all decided to use my own understanding of the topic to create the paper, which I did. As an experiment, I decided to ask ChatGPT to write the paper, and it did. I was not happy with it, because I will feel fake if I come here and deliver a paper written to me by ChatGPT. So this means that we have to learn to learn. You can use ChatGPT to audit what you have already done, to make sure that you are moving along the right direction, but not ChatGPT as a replacement. We tend to forget that AI, like ChatGPT, is a tool, like a screwdriver. It doesn't do the work, but it helps you to do the work. And this is the critical thing we have to do. We have to learn to learn. But if we, as university professors and administrators, feel that we are cheating the system and our students are cheating the system, we are not alone. In Bayero University, we stopped giving assignments. Because when you give them assignments, in less than 5 minutes, they have done it. They have gone to ChatGPT and did it, and then they just simply paste it to you. And the worst part of it is ChatGPT will give you different answers depending on how you prompt it. So you never know who is real about all this. So we stopped giving question papers. We stopped giving assignments. But then we discovered that even in North America, they do that. Many professors in American universities are complaining that the students use ChatGPT. So what they have done now is when they give an assignment, they will ask the students to come and present the assignment live in the class, which is okay to do if you have 10 students. But what about if you have about 80 students? How long will it take for each one of them to make a presentation? So this is a critical component of future university. Critical systems and thinking, we have to think out of the box. We have to think differently. And thinking differently and thinking out of the box means sometimes confronting our traditional values and the way we behave at the traditional level. And again, this is something that is future directed, because that's where we are moving to. I mean, a professor writes his lectures. I did that. I put my lectures on YouTube, and only 10 people watched it. Would you believe that? And it was there for 2 years. Only 10 people watched it. Now, this TikToker in Kano put up her video in which he just simply says all sorts of things, and 80 million views were recorded. 80 million. And she made more money in those videos than I could make in all those high-polluted lectures. So don't be surprised if you see Abdullah Obadamu channel on TikTok singing and dancing. Because that's where the money is. And in the final analysis, that is really what makes us move. The cash in our pocket, the balance in our bank. Forget about all these theoretical, conceptual. Nobody reads what we write, but people watch what we do. So, Ambrose, get ready. Me and you, we're going to party. Digital AI fluency. Young people now have control of the AI world. I don't know if some of you are following the Kano State drama, political drama, but the way Dr. Nambello, who lives in China, was able to use AI to generate the conflict in just about 1 minute, with full paces, full color, cinematic process, shows that people are getting into the AI world much more easily. The tools are there. All you have to do is mix and match, pick it up, your imagination, and then you go up. We need to show our students how to do this ourselves. Let them not just simply learn it anyhow, anywhere. Creativity and innovation. Again, you spend hours on TikTok, on Facebook Reels, looking at all those videos that people make. Most of them are AI generated. So all these AI generated things are created by people whom we have not taught in the university. It was not in the curriculum. It was not in a high school curriculum, and yet we were able to do it beautifully, effectively, and again, I go back to the same point, making serious money. Whereas here you are, no light, no water in your university, at least in my university, not now, though. Now have a lot of money, so they have a lot of light, they have a lot of water. But where I live, we have no light, no water, and I'm expected to teach students who are bored, because you go there, and all of them are looking totally, absolutely bored to their skulls. Because you're just talking about Ganye, you're talking about Bruna, you're talking about dead white psychologists, dead white media producers, and so on. So this is a challenge. Communication and collaboration, we have to share it collectively. We have to communicate and collaborate with others. And we don't even need to do it at the policy level. DAP, PG school, they don't need to waste their time doing that. The kids are doing it themselves. Young people are collaborating among themselves. We need to find out the hubs of this collaboration, deep into it, and then formalize it. Otherwise, we are the ones who are going to be left behind. You get a situation where a professor comes into the classroom and is asking students how to do something with AI, because the student has already mastered that particular AI. Ethical reason. Technological power grows faster with ethical reflection. Whatever you do, there has to be moral opacity. We have to be guided by our morality, by our ethics. And this is very critical. It's very easy to copy somebody's work on the internet. And it is very easy to download illegal books. I have just published a book in London, and people are asking me for a PDF copy. Now, the ethical problem I face is I can share other people's PDF books that I downloaded, but I cannot share my own, because if more people read my PDF book, I won't get any money. And I want to get money, because I asked for copies. I said, the royalty you're going to give to me, convert it to copies. They refused. So if people download my book from wherever it is, I lose. So the whole idea is to tell everybody, I don't have a PDF copy. You have to buy your copy. And that copy costs $117 US on Amazon.com. And when people do the calculation, whoa, we can't afford to do that. I said, that's okay. But I have Femi Peter's book. I can share it with you. But I can share my book. So that issue of ethics is deeply ingrained, and we need to know how to handle it when we are dealing with a future university. Entrepreneurial problem solving, again, the mindset is already there. And these guys are making serious money from their skills. And that is serious entrepreneurship. That is why I was against philosophy. What kind of entrepreneurship can you convert to philosophy? And yet, courses that look dead, like philosophy, are courses that will salvage our future. They will salvage our intellect. because that's what reality lies. All this AI stuff, it's not human. It's machine learning that moves toward the direction you want. AI is designed to please you. AI will never say, hey, this is a very stupid question. Why are you saying this? The only AI that can do that is Grok. But other AIs are there to please you. So whatever you input, it says, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, this is great. But you know it is not fantastic. You know it is not great. So eventually we have to go back to basics. We have to go back to Socrates. We have to go back to Aristotle. We have to go back to all those dead white philosophers in order to receive inspiration about what scholarship should be. Don't worry, sir. I and these two, the incoming and Professor Sogolo, we have a long debate on this. Right, so I will just skip to conclusions. I think I have made enough comments, enough points. The University of the Future is evolving from a repository of knowledge into a dynamic university without walls that operates as a socio-economic ecosystem. Its performance indicators are shifting away from purely retrospective academic metrics to forward-looking real-time indicators that measures adaptability, impact, and personalization. Universities are no longer centers of knowledge. They are launch pads for lifelong adaptability. A university that is not able to link with and innovate for the profound challenges facing our planet is not a university. At least not one that 21st century calls for. One that revolves around the integration of teaching and research with the practice of regenerating soil, society, and self. In an age where the independence of universities is challenged, we should do more than just defend the status quo. We should reimagine the university as an innovation ecology, that is, through a system of hubs deeply embedded in the root systems of profound personal, ecological, and societal renewal. This, of course, requires a surgical renegotiation of current idea of the university. By embedding digital fluency, creativity, problem solving, and ethics into our curricula, universities are preparing graduates for a world where the only constant is change. The next decade will belong to those who can learn and relearn, and universities that rise to this challenge will remain the cornerstone of future-ready societies. They will truly be universities of the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, our guest lecturer. Please don't go yet. Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu will want to make a brief presentation to the outgoing VC.
When I was the outgoing VC, the outgoing VC did something to me, and I promise I'm going to retaliate. So today is my time to retaliate. So, sir, I'm going to retaliate what you think I've forgotten? I've not forgotten. I'm going to retaliate with full force today.
Abdurrahman, please. This is open university, so everything should be done in the open.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, sir, this is a Kano-designed carpet, which is made by artisans and calligraphers in Kano. And this particular one was specifically made for you. Nobody has this design. The idea is for you to spread it on your living room floor, and then whenever you look at it, you remember Abdallah. Now, because I don't know whether they have given you chieftaincy title. Amin Umar gave you something. And I said, I'm going to retaliate also. I'm going to do something also to the VC. Because the VC today is a punch bag. Everybody is retaliating. So, my Vice-Chancellor, sir, here is a little gift. But what did I again, sir?
When I say Ensarota.
Exactly. So I should just put it on. Well, this is a royal. No. This is a royal dress from the palace of the Emir of Kano.
Are you going to wear the trouser too now, sir? Malam Femi, Alaji Femi,
and finally, sir, this is my farewell message to you, which is too personal for me to read it out here. So it's just between me and you. I wish you the very best, and thank you very much for all you did for NOUN. It is a wonderful thing for somebody to leave a position and then for another person to come and go beyond what he has left. Thank you very much, sir, and I wish you the very best. Allah keke gida lafiya.
Ike and Popo. Well, for your information, he domesticated that name for himself. He calls himself Aki, and he decides who he calls the Popo. Thank you very much, Professor Abdallah Udba Adamu, and thank you very much, Professor Olufemi Peters. And very quickly now, still keeping our eyes on the ball, let me invite for a book presentation on behalf of a book presentation done in honor of the outgoing Vice-Chancellor. May I have the honor of inviting Professor Joy AEC to do that, please.
An African proverb reminds us that knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Your Excellencies, distinguished members of the Council, principal officers of the university, esteemed colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Today is not just a day on the calendar. It is a moment in the living memory of our National Open University of Nigeria. Today, history is being documented. My team and I stand before you to present 7 books for 7 days of the week. 7 treasures carefully cultivated. 7 intellectual harvests. 7 enduring witnesses to the life, leadership, and legacy of our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters. And yes, we recommend that you read book 1 on day 1, book 2 on day 2, and so on. Because these books are not for shelves alone. They are for minds. They are for leaders. They are for generations yet unborn. They are basically for you and for me, because leaders are readers. If you stop reading today, you stop leading tomorrow. Before we begin day one, permit me a brief moment. These 7 books did not emerge from a single pen or solitary mind. They are the product of shared vision, collective scholarship, long nights, and disciplined commitment. I therefore invite my editorial team, whose names are inscribed in these volumes, to rise briefly, not for applause alone, but for acknowledgement. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in appreciating a team that believe in excellence and stayed committed to it. Thank you. Please be seated. Day one, the foundation. On day one, we lay the foundation. Treasure number 1 is titled Excellence in Open and Distance Learning, First Shrift for a Leader Extraordinaire, Professor Olufemi Ayinde-Peters. This book captures the foundation, the vision that placed open and distance learning at the center of national development, the courage to lead differently, and the commitment to excellence as a culture, not a slogan. This is where the journey begins. Day 2, innovation and transformation. On day 2, we turn to movement and change. We present excellence in open and distance learning, innovations and transformations in Nigerian universities. This book reminds us that leadership is not about position. It is about impact. It is about innovation. It is about transformation that endures. Day 3, breadth and scholarship. Day 3 brings us excellence across disciplines, advancing knowledge in honor of Professor Olufemi Peters. Here, we honor a leader who understood that excellence must be broad in vision, deep in scholarship, and inclusive in purpose. Day 4, the formal voice. Day 4 brings us to wisdom spoken with authority. We present Pearls of Wisdom, the voice of Professor Olufemi Ayinde-Peters. Here, we hear the Vice-Chancellor as a teacher, thinker, and moral compass, a voice that instructs, challenges, and elevates. The voice that reminds us quietly and firmly that leadership begins with values. Day 5, the human voice. Day 5 draws us closer. We unveil Pearls Beyond the Podium, Professor Peters' informal voice. This book reveals the leader beyond the office, approachable, reflective, and human. Because the greatest leaders are first and foremost deeply human. Day 6, the leadership benchmark. On day 6, we measure excellence. We present leadership by excellence, celebrating the achievements of Professor Olufemi Ayinde-Peters. This volume answers one enduring question: what does leadership look like when it is anchored in integrity, driven by vision, and committed to service? The answer is right here. Day 7, the people decide. On the 7th day, we rest. So for book number 7, my team and I rested. We rested so that the people could speak. We rested so that judgment could be rendered. Not by power, not by position, but by lived experience. That judgment is captured in Nkomia, Professor Olufemi Peters, in the People's Court of Law. This is the voice of the people. The verdict is unanimous. The legacy is affirmed. The judgment is gratitude. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a book is not merely ink on paper. A book is a treasure you can open again and again. These 7 books are not souvenirs of departure. They are instruments of continuity, markers of legacy, and manuals of leadership. Dear Professor Peters, on behalf of my editorial team and myself, these 7 cultivated treasures are our gift of gratitude for your vision, for your integrity, and for the indelible mark you have left on the 4 walls of our National Open University of Nigeria and beyond. It is therefore my deep honor and great joy that we present 7 books for 7 days, celebrating a leader extraordinaire, Professor Olufemi Ayinde-Peters. Professor Olufemi Ayinde-Peters, we present these 7 books to you as a record of service, a measure of leadership, and a legacy entrusted to history. At this moment, may I respectfully present these 7 books for 7 days of the week to you. Thank you.
Vice-Chancellor, sir, I don't envy your retirement at all. You mean you're going to consume this book in 7 days? Or 7 years? Most likely 7 years.
The Honorable Minister in absentia and the Chairman of Governing Council, His Excellency Malam Isa Yuguda, Council members who are present, Principal Officers who are present, my friends who are present, Senate members,
congregation and friends that have been invited. I'm not supposed to make a speech now, so I'm just making a speech to recognize the awesome effort that Professor Joy Eyisi and her team, what they've done for me and to me. The books are here, and you could see the way I had to carry them almost. And so please, I want you to help me thank Professor Eyisi for the great effort that they put together over 2 years of gathering information from far and near, as far as Europe, Lagos, wherever they could lay their hands on somebody who could say something about Femi Peters. Please help me give them a round of applause. What we have decided, but not concluded, is that all these 7 books will be published online. And we'll get this, each one of these books. First, all the people that contributed to the first scripts will get their copy, and at a time to be determined. The good thing is that I will be 70 very soon. Yes, I know I senior some people here. I can see they're looking at me. And I know I have some senior boys there. They're also looking at me. And then we shall do something better. Please thank Professor Eyisi for me again.
Well, my Vice-Chancellor, you're not done yet because we'll be re-inviting you in a brief moment from now. Yes, looking through the running order, we are set for a presentation of plaque to Professor Uduma, Oji Uduma. And that will be done by no other than the former Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Council of the University, Professor Peter Oke-Bukola, OFR. Incidentally, is unavoidably absent. He has asked that the outgoing Vice-Chancellor to please, on his behalf, do the presentation to the VC designate, Professor Uduma, Oji Uduma.
Thank you very much, Pro-Chancellor, sir, and members. I just want to give a brief history about this. Professor Oke-Bukola was the council chairman when I was appointed as Vice-Chancellor. And on council, I met Professor Uduma on council as the Deputy Vice-Chancellor academic, appointed by no less a person than Professor Abdallah Adamu. So when I became, when he was appointed Vice-Chancellor, we had scheduled visitations. And one of the visitations was to visit Baba Obasanjo, to take him to the Chancellor, take him to Obasanjo, and then take him to some other important agencies in the country. And so we fixed a date to go to Abeokuta to go and see His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Unfortunately, we could not go because something else came up and I had to travel. And because they knew we were coming, Professor Oke-Bukola had prepared certain souvenirs to welcome me and also to welcome the incoming Vice-Chancellor. And so he didn't know until the morning after he had sent me a text that they were expecting us. And I had to send a text to him that we had told Baba 2 days earlier that we are not going to come. And then he asked, how is he going to present one of the souvenirs? And because it is open university, because we have study centers in all states of the Federation, it meant that we must have a presence in Abeokuta. And we had a study center director who was sent to come and present this and gave me the task of presenting this to Professor Uduma. So on behalf of myself and Professor Kebukola, may I invite the incoming Vice-Chancellor, Professor Uduma Oji Uduma, to please come forward and receive his plaque given to him by the Emeritus Professor Peter Okebukola. Let me open it, yes. All right. So on behalf of the Okebukola Science Foundation, congratulations to Professor Uduma Oji Uduma as he assumes office as the Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. And there goes many statements, but ended it. Please accept my best wishes for a most successful and impactful tenure. February 11, we just jumped the date. We are not yet in February 11. Or else I won't be the one speaking here. So on behalf of Professor Kebukola, Professor Duma, please have this from him. Thank you very much. That is my hand. All right. Thank you very much. Yes. That's it time. All right.
Well, I know I'm not supposed to speak now, but my Oga, Professor Abdallah Obadamu, started laughing. To receive a plaque from Professor Kebukola by me is one of the greatest things I treasure. Those who read the community know what I'm saying. So I am particularly humbled by this gesture. And I want to say thank you very much. And of course, he spoke with me, and I continue to be shocked and delighted by this gesture from Professor Kebukola. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, VC Designate. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are fast approaching the end of the program, but we can't get to the end of the program without hearing from our star boy. At this juncture, I present to you the outgoing Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters, for his valedictory response.
The Pro-Chancellor of the Governing Council of the National Open University of Nigeria, distinguished guests, this is a defining moment for me, and I please want to allow me the first few moments to do it the way I will want. So I want to start. Please join me in singing. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him upon ye heavenly host. Praise God the Son and Holy Ghost. Amen. Thank you very much. Please sit down. I come before you this evening through the grace of the Almighty, the mercy of the Lord, and the benevolence of the Jehovah. So how do I really begin to thank you? How do I begin to thank the Council? How do I begin to thank the Pro-Chancellor of our Governing Council? This moment is both humbling and very overwhelming. And so permit me to express my profound gratitude to the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of our Governing Council, His Excellency Malam Issa Yuguda, and the members of the Council of the National Open University of Nigeria for graciously hosting this well-organized send forth. And my sincere thanks goes to Dr. Godi Etta, the chair of the committee, whose remarkable dedication and enthusiasm ensured that this occasion is truly memorable. Both he and the other committee members have clearly invested considerable effort into making this event special for me, to the extent that they made sure that the Honorable Minister of Education was going to be present. I am, sir, deeply, deeply grateful. To all the council members, I say thank you for your kindness that you have shown to me whilst I was serving you, and that you have shown to me this night with this gesture of yours. I am extremely touched. And I have friends here, some from Lagos. I have a friend here who came from England because of me. I have senior colleagues here, people I looked up to when I was starting an academic life. I have people here who have come, who are just friends that I met along the path of my career. I have friends that I've seen here who came late in my life. I have friends who had made my life very worthwhile. I have friends who have given me joy. I have friends here who have given me love. I have friends here who, when I see them, I smile. I say thank you all for coming to see me, to honor me. My friends are quite many, and I can't really mention them. But I would, in the course of time. When I assumed office as Vice-Chancellor in February 2021, I did so with great excitement mixed with a deep sense of responsibility. My excitement stemmed from the unexpected triumph during the intensive selection process. My excitement stemmed from the faith and goodwill of the university community when I was announced as Vice-Chancellor. And my excitement stemmed from the rare privilege to serve this university that has meant so much to me. And many of my friends would acknowledge this. But at the same time, and upon reflection, I recognized the immense duty before me to increase access to quality education, to strengthen our academic processes, to sustain the momentum of innovation that has been propelled by my predecessor, Abdallah here, and to guide the university towards continued growth. Fortunately, I have been a long-standing member of staff since the university's rebirth in 2002. So I was familiar with the operations of the university. So like many in my position, having been given the mantle of Vice-Chancellorship, I had to consider and look back and reflect on the institution's journey, noting the obstacles that it has overcome. There was one scenario that stood out vividly in my mind. Years ago, our university, this university, faced a defining moment, a true test of its endurance, when we were confronted with questions about our credibility and our mission. And I have people here who were able to take us out of that happenstance. And I mentioned some of them yesterday. So I did a careful analysis then, and it revealed two urgent challenges facing this university. The challenge of achieving accreditation for our academic programs. The second was the challenge of improving our institutional processes towards building a culture that believed in open and distance learning. Now in 2021, as a Vice-Chancellor, I had to do a similar critical assessment. And it revealed that not only did the long-standing challenges persist, but they have been made even more complex by new situational factors. Then we had COVID-19 pandemic. Then we had just relocated our university headquarters from Lagos to Abuja. And then also, I suddenly realized that the university has grown in vast expansion of both physical and academic footprints. In addition, to compound the challenge, I have just returned from a leave of absence of 5 years from the university. I was therefore not well equipped with contemporary institutional memories. What these challenges brought to me was that I became aware that if I was going to manage this university, I could not go it alone. I realized immediately that I needed the insight, the counsel, and the collaboration of others. It was in that spirit that the words attributed to Socrates came alive to me. I am the wisest man alive, for I know nothing, and that is that. For I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. I repeat, the Socrates expressions came alive for me. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Socrates' statements highlight the value of acknowledging one's own limitations as the basis for true wisdom. By adopting this perspective, I was able to remain open-minded and receptive to ideas outside my immediate frame of reference. I discovered that once I discarded the constraints of perfectionism, or what we say in Nigerian common parlance, Mr. Know-all, I was able to achieve greater clarity of thoughts, a more defined sense of direction, and I had inner peace. This self-awareness formed the foundation for my humility. It formed the foundation for the pursuit of knowledge. It formed the foundation for the tolerance of all nuances and the continuous improvement that I believed characterized my administration. Throughout my tenure as Vice-Chancellor, I have had the honor of working with many distinguished members of these universities, deans of faculties, heads of departments, directors of various study centers, and directorates, and academic and administrative staff across units. Permit me to acknowledge few of these persons. Esther Isaac, Yusuf Alaji, Hadia Fatimatu Fufure, Aisha Kida, Mono Undong, Ramatu Ibrahim, Kate Anunobi, Abdullahi Alabi Abubakar, Ayodele Olowomeye, Adefemi Oyedipe, Adeboye Adewoyin, Ifeanyi Nkeze, Emeka Don Onu, Felix Olakuleyin, Professor Isaac Buswat, Professor Uduma O. Uduma, Professor Chiedu Mafiana, who served as both the chair of BCS, Business Committee of Senate, and as my DVC, Professor Alero Akujobi, Professor Inua Ofe, Professor Yemisi Ogunlela, Professor Sahid Ajibola, all center directors that we have, Mr. John Ubaji, Professor Charity Okonkwo, Ms. Dina Abbas, the media under Dr. Ibrahim Sheme, the protocol under Barrister Lawal, the transport under Issa Shehu, the Directorate of LCMS under Dr. Adewale Adesina, the Directorate of ICT under Francis Osang, the MIS under Professor Mukhtar Al-Hassan. May God rest his soul. And later MIS under Yinka Adeboyejo, Recruiter under Professor Christine Ofule, Career and Counseling under Sefi Omuya, Estelle under Professor Grace Joktan, Advancement and Linkages under Ogeva Ileka and Professor Ganiat Othman, DEA under Professor Lugbenga Ojo, Quality Assurance and Entrepreneurship under Professor Juliet Inagbedion and Sam Awolumate, the Staff Training and Development under Eunice Ricky, the Center for Migration Studies under Professor Gloria Aneto, the Center for Human Resource and Development under Professor Aminu Umar, the Physical Planning under Architect Sadiq Shaib, SciWest under Professor Joy Eyisi, and SciWest and Professor Joy Eyisi again, and all our team members that produced the 7 wonderful books. NICC under Wosilat Ainodion, the Legal under Daniel Ricky, the Software Development under Sule Onu, the PG School under Professor Oniye, Audit under Mrs. Lydia Ajayi and Mr. Folulu, the DRA, the Directorate of Research Administration, under Professors Omada and Ayodele, the press under Malam Nura, the academic planning under Professor Gregory Okagbare, the registry under Mr. Oladipo and Mr. Felix Idoka, the bursary under Mr. Ernest Odega and Nasiru Marafa, the library under Professor Angela Opala, the stores under Patrick Opara, the university clinic under Dr. Hassan, the university orators, one of which we listen today, and the chief security officer under Commander Aware retired. Each brought unique strengths and perspective to our shared mission. And in the spirit of Socrates, I know that I know nothing about many things. And yet, I thank the Almighty for surrounding me with those whose wisdom and dedication strengthen our shared purpose. I say a heartfelt thank you to you all. My leadership philosophy has never been about command and control, but rather about creating a nurturing environment where people can grow, innovate, and excel. While perfection is not of this world, the aspiration was always to plant the seeds of a transformative culture, one in which both leaders and followers can flourish. In encouraging others to flourish, and I've said this many times in the Senate, I, too, have found personal and professional growth. Hence, I reaffirm my central message: let others flourish so that you may flourish. May this principle guide each of us in our conduct, in our service, in our leadership. My words of thankfulness will be incomplete without acknowledging the pivotal support of TED Fund. Our university has been extremely fortunate to have found favor with TED Fund right from time of its rebirth, but even more so with their recent heads in the persons of Professor Elias Bogoro and architect Sonny Echono. I particularly want to thank architect Sonny Echono for being faithful to the cause of university education in our country and to my university in particular. Our university is young, still navigating the inevitable storms of institutional growth. It is therefore imperative that we preserve and defend its essence, which is to provide accessible, high-quality education and to serve society with integrity and purpose. Within the Nigerian space, we often lament about us having weak institutions. My distinguished audience, I think it is people who build institutions, not vice versa. Our university must have character. Our university must have virtue. Our university must have culture. Without this, it ceases to be a university. Very soon, I shall retire from public service. And in reflecting over this journey, I found comfort in the words of 2 Timothy 4, verse 7 to 8. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course, and I have kept the faith. Henceforth, I pray that there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, our righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me alone, but to all those who have played significant roles in the course of my journey in public service. To mention a few: Baba Iyela, Professor Eminefo Akerejola, may God rest his soul. Professor Femi Odekunle, may God rest his soul. Professor Muyiwa Tuoti, may God rest his soul. And I have Professor Aminu Dorai. I have Mrs. Grace Uluwayemisi Adeshino. I have Dr. Akinwumi Adeshino. I have Professor Abdullahi Uba Adamu. I have Mr. Chris Meyaki. I have Akogun Lanre and Funke Adeshui. I have Mr. Benson and Alake Tugobo. I have Alhaji Tajuddin Ibrahim Adeta. I have A.U. Mustafa. I have Emeritus Professor Peter Okebukola. I have Engineer Sunday Rotimi Adara. I have Professor Ishak Oloyede. I have Mr. Oladimeji Garuba. I have Engineer Issa Abubakar. I have Dr. Philip Obande. I have Professor Elias Bogoro. I have Architect Sonny Echono. I have Alhaji Abdullahi Kotangura, members of the Fountain of Hope 10NG Society. My friends who are seated here and are friends for life, being represented by a few of them that are here. Former Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Education. My children and their respective families. I have, for last, somebody that would never have thought that I benefited from his friendship along my path in my public service. And that person is Emily Peters. May God rest her soul. To each of you, my esteemed colleagues, friends, and family, I extend my deep abiding gratitude. May we continue to serve humanity with vision, virtue, and unwavering faith. As I take my leave of active service, I do so with a heart full of gratitude to God Almighty, to the governing councils, past and present, and in particular, under the leadership of Professor Emeritus Okebukola and His Excellency, Malam Issa Yuguda. My successes are your successes, and our beloved university is the biggest beneficiary. To my colleagues, my senior colleagues who are here seated, Professor B.Y. Abubakar, Professor Iman Oyedipe, the third of which I had mentioned earlier, and the fourth of which I will mention, Professor Bob Ebewele. Also, may God rest his soul. These are the people who have endeared me to academics, who nurtured me in academics, and who has shared in me the endeavor of building and sustaining an institution. May we, all of us here seated, remain steadfast in upholding the ideals of scholarship, in upholding the ideals of service, in upholding the ideals of integrity that can or could or will define our common purpose. May this university continue to grow in strength. May this university continue to grow in knowledge. May this university continue to grow in character, so that we all, as we enable others to flourish, and in this case, our students, we too may truly flourish. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the honor that you have done me. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Olufemi Peters, and thank you indeed. Well, if there is one thing this university is very fortunate to have gotten since its inception, is we are just too fortunate we've never had any kind of, in any guise, leadership disaster in this university. From the days of Professor Olugbemi Rojegede, who is online live watching these proceedings, to the days of Professor Vincent Ado Tenebi over here, to Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, and of course now to our star boy, Professor Olufemi Peters. On the scale of weight, I just can't figure out who amongst this individual would outweigh or will dwarf the other. They've all done brilliantly well. And because of that, I do not envy the incoming Vice-Chancellor. Like what the Hausa will say, Anji Kamish Aiki, Nejekeken Aiki. You know, that's a huge work to be surmounted. Of course, when you look into the future and backward, what these gentlemen have done, then you begin to think, what will you bring differently on the table? But thank God, like I said, we've never had any leadership disaster. Now we are pleased to let this crowd know that we are having someone who is coming on board, very gigantic, tall, well-fed, and above all, a very knowledgeable individual who is coming to build where these other individuals have built. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Professor Uduma, Oji Uduma, the VC in waiting. From his size, you will know what the future of the university will be. My boss, you're welcome, sir.
Bula, I would have loved to say I want to stand on the existing protocol, but I doubt, with what Ambrose have said, if I stand on the protocol, whether it will not collapse. So permit me to first and foremost recognize the Honorable Minister in absentia, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Governing Council, the distinguished members of the Governing Council, our incumbent Vice-Chancellor. I call him incumbent because he is still the Vice-Chancellor, both de jure and de facto. Principal officers of the university, past Vice-Chancellors, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to begin on a note of deep gratitude and humility. Of course, moments like this are rare in the life of any institution. Moments when leadership is not merely transferred, but honored. When service is not merely concluded, but celebrated. And when the past and the future stand briefly face to face. As the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard reminds us, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. This evening we are doing both. We are living life backwards, and we are also projecting to the future. That is the beauty of this evening. We have just listened to a valedictory address and goodwill messages that are rich in reflection, measured in wisdom, and anchored in service. It reminds us quite powerfully that leadership is not defined by the occupancy of office, but by impact, direction, and legacy. We are here because Professor Peter showed direction. He has led in a way that we all acknowledge his legacies. It's not just about occupying an office. There must be impact. And of course, when I always say something unique about Professor Peters. Many people answer Peter, and that means the rock. But his own is Peters. That's multiple of Peter. And so that will always make me say, fine. This is a solid rock. If Peter means rock, and one person is answering Peters, you can imagine the type of rock that will be. We have just, like I said, we've just looked at this, okay, sorry. On behalf of myself, and indeed, on behalf of a generation of learners, many of whom may never meet Professor Peters physically, but will forever benefit from his stewardship. Professor Peter, I say thank you very much for being a solid rock. Thank you for holding the tiller steady. Thank you for strengthening the institutional soul of National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you for believing consistently and courageously in the power of open and distance learning as a democratic instrument of national transformation. Sir, your tenure has reaffirmed an important truth that NOUN is not merely a university without walls. It's a university without limits. we are limitless. One whose reach extends to the unreached and whose impact transcends geography, age, circumstance, and time. Indeed, Nelson Mandela once observed that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And your stewardship has kept that weapon accessible to many, to millions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one does not step into shoes such as this casually. I do so this evening with respect, with sobriety, and with a clear understanding that continuity is not stagnation, and that change is not rupture. As Edward Burke wisely noted, a state without the means of some change is without the means of conservation. I'm a philosopher, and we believe that the only thing that does not change is what? Change. Heraclitus said you cannot step into the same river twice. So change is inevitable. And when it comes, it is how it is directed that matters. I come therefore not to erase chapters, but to build upon it. National University of Nigeria occupies a unique and strategic space in our national educational architecture. In a world where education is rapidly unbundling itself from physical campuses, NOUN stands today not as an experiment, but as a vision already validated. As they say, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now exist precisely to make such lifelong learning possible. Open and distance learning is no longer the alternative. It is increasingly the preferred global pathway for access, flexibility, and lifelong learning. Nigeria is therefore fortunate to have now at its national anchor in the transformation of education in the 21st century. As we move forward, our collective tasks are clear: to deepen quality without diluting access, to embrace innovation without losing our values, to expand reach without strengthening credibility, to expand reach while strengthening credibility and public trust. We must have the trust of the public. People who try to talk down on now, unless our processes are credible, we will lose public trust. The future is for us to build public trust by the way we organize our processes to show integrity. We must ensure that every learner, whether in a city, a rural community, a correctional facility, or across borders, encounters a university that is rigorous in scholarship, humane in delivery, technologically responsive, and uncompromising in integrity. In the words of Aristotle, educating the minds without educating the heart is no education at all. Professor Abdallah, dead white philosophers. But I'm happy today you said that for us to get the truth of education, we must go back to philosophy. And that's why we must keep reflecting on how philosophers have positioned education. And we know that education, thank you, Emeritus. We must know that education is the only weapon with which we can change our society. To the Governing Council, I thank you for the confidence you have reposed in me. I do not take it lightly. I pledge partnership, transparency, and an unwavering commitment to the mission and the mandate of the great university. And to the staff and students of NOUN, present and future, I say the journey continues. The horizon is wide. The work is demanding. But together, guided by experience and driven by vision, we will keep NOUN worthy of its mandate and equal to its moment in history. As Helen Keller reminds us, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. Sir, Professor Peters, as you take your well-deserved bow, know that your footprints will remain visible on this path for a long time to come. I also want to correct something. Professor Peters is not yet retiring. His retirement is still in May. He's only leaving office having completed his tenure of 5 years by next week, not now. And so, when we're talking about, many people are talking as if he's retiring today. He's not retiring today from the university. His retirement will still come and will still be celebrated. But as you bow from office, you know you have laid a solid foundation. The path you have beat stands. Your legacy speaks for you. I have often told you that whoever is going to succeed you, when I did not have succeed you, was coming to consolidate on the gains we have derived through you. You are a lucky man. You've done much. God will guide you. And as you look ahead, let us remember that we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Not to see further alone, but to serve better. Thank you very much.
Wow. Boss, to borrow from Professor Abdallah Uba Adamu, Guduma. Sarkin aiki. Chairman, Council, sir, just to borrow from what the VC designate have said, that the illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who refuse to unlearn to relearn. Let me share a small story that he can testify. So a few years down memory lane, when he was a reader in one of those universities in the southeast, you know, we were traveling between myself, him, and one of his junior lecturer. Just before Ogulafo, we came across a police checkpoint. The police said, come out. You know the way police used to behave in Nigeria. Come out, everybody come out. I was the first to step out. I stepped out, the lecturer stepped out, and Professor Uduma remained. Out of curiosity and looking very furious, the policeman said, "You, who are you?" He asked me. I said, "Well, I'm just the junior brother to that man there, reader." He said, "A reader?" He said, "Yes." He said, "And who is this man?" I said, "He's a lecturer in one of the universities here." He now bent into the car again, the policeman. He said, "You, common reader, you are refusing to step out. A full lecturer has stepped out, and you a reader." You see, that is the level of, some level of illiteracy, you know, at play there. Well, for some of us who are here who are not familiar with the word a deployer, reader means like an associate prof. You know, you either call an associate prof or you say a reader. So the policeman was busy thinking, when I said a reader, oh, you are just even learning how to read. And a lecturer is already out. That was the interpretation he was giving the whole thing. In any case, before we forget one basic condiment of why we're here, there is a cake, a valedictory cake, cutting of cake here, before we forget. You know, so I would like to invite this star boy, the celebrant of today. Of course, he will invite the council chair and other people that would be privileged to cut this special cake alongside him. So our star boy, the valedictory VC, Professor Olufemi Peters, it is at your discretion who joins you here. Just the way you missed my name in the people you called, I hope you will not miss my name this time around.
Thank you very much. May I call the Vice-Chancellor of Council to come? May I call Ruki Odekunle to come? Why is Daisy? I know. Please come forward. May I call Malagaruba to please come forward? May I call B.Y. Abubakar to come forward? May I call Mr. Ibekwe to come forward? Ibekwe. Yes. Go here. May I call on Olubumi Jetawo to come here, please?
It's a difficult task.
About?
Calling people.
Yeah, yes, it is. Well, I don't know who is to compare the. I don't think it's me. Yes. Yes. All right. May I call on the council member, Deborah Debbie, to come and lead us to cut the cake? Deborah, please. Yes. Come and lead us to cut the cake. She's here to officiate. She's a member of the Governing Council of the National Open University of Nigeria.
Good evening, everybody. So what are we going to say? So I think we would cut the cake, we would spell Jesus and cut the cake. So when we get to S, we cut the cake. Oh, okay, sorry. We'll spell Peters. Okay, but you have to move forward. Okay. So please, can you spell with me? P, E, T, E, R, S. Thank you so much.
VC, sir, please remain. I want to have one small photo. Quick now, quick now. I thought we would invite one software to stay very close to you, sir. It's okay. All right. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and patience. We are gradually winding up, and very soon, sooner than you expected, we'll be leaving this great auditorium. Of course, may I bring to your notice that all the aesthetics you are seeing here, from all this design and what have you, was made possible by this our star boy, Professor Olufemi Peters. This is one of the lasting legacies he's leaving to NOUN, and that we're very proud of. Let me, as we begin this presentation of gift, this is one moment some departments, faculties, or what have you, deem it fit to say, look, we want to thank this man specially in the manner he impacted in our faculty or department, or as the case may be, unit. May I invite the director of OCAS to please come forward for their presentation. OCAS is Olusegun Obasanjo Center for Good Governance and African Studies. It is a directorate at the National Open University of Nigeria, ably led by Professor Ugwanyi. Sorry, I almost forgot. It's because you're not paying your tax, and that's why I almost forgot your name. Professor Ugwanyi, please. Sir?
Can I call that staff members of OCAS?
Okay, he wants other members of OCAS, but please, he has to be very brief before this dinner becomes breakfast.
No members here? All right. All right. On behalf of OCAS, we present this to our dynamic VC, sir. We appreciate you. This is from OCAS. May God bless you. We thank you for all that you have done for us. It will be well with you. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
All right, still remain behind. I would like to also call the Dean, Faculty of Education, to make his own presentation. Oh, okay. Sorry, please, just a minute. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that in this hall today, the name Peters has been presented as analogous to several quality, valuable, and invaluable indices. However, what we have done in the Faculty of Education, please, members of the Faculty of Education, as I speak, you can just start coming forward. Is the music ready? Okay, just as I speak. So what we have done is to put together those quality indices in this plaque. And what have we done? We have presented the name Peters acrostically as P for perfectionist leader, E for exceptional innovator, T for tenacious go-getter, E for excellent influencer, R for resilient scientist, and S for steadfast civil servant. So Peters has been spelled this way. And so we want to congratulate Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters for the wonderful job he has done in the National Open University of Nigeria this past 5 years. So, Vice-Chancellor, sir, it is my pleasure to present this to you in commemoration of the completion of your tenure of office. Congratulations, sir.
DJ, take the music down a little bit. Thank you, Faculty of Education. Thank you, Faculty of Education. May I please invite Dr. Godwin Etta to please come forward for his presentation. Doctor, please take the music down.
Thank you very much. Our Vice-Chancellor, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council has permitted me to come on behalf of the members and the committee to make a presentation to you. But I will advise that you remove what is inside and put it in your pocket so that you don't hand over. Thank you. So this is on behalf of the Governing Council. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you've done well. Thank you. Thank you.
VC, sir, I was thinking you said that is just a little bit comfortable. So Ambrose, help me hold this. Wow. Okay. Let me invite Center Director Estelle, Professor Grace Joktan, on behalf of the center, to please make their presentation. I'm aware the Directorate of ICT are already on queue. The Faculty of Computing too, they are already on the line, please. So please be prepared. This is a World Bank presentation.
Since you have led us into the digital future, it will be inappropriate to let you go to pen and paper. So we are presenting this laptop that the transformation will continue. Thank you, sir.
I said it, everything of theirs is World Bank standard. Laptop, they just summarize it as laptop, but inside laptop, we know the ones will be laptop. We know the one will be, you know. Anyway, let me quickly have Directorate of ICT, Faculty of Computing, please get ready. Directorate of ICT.
On behalf of the Directorate of ICT, we are pleased to present to you our dear Vice-Chancellor this plaque for your contributions and the infrastructural development, ICT infrastructure that drives ODL in Nigeria.
Thank you. So you don't want to display your own? Secrets of the old must not be known in the day. Is that what you're saying? Okay, Directorate of, Faculty of Computing. Faculty of Computing.
As the youngest faculty, the emerging faculty, and the faculty of the future, we want to thank our Vice-Chancellor for laying the foundation for computing, not just in ODL University in NOUN, but for ODL University in Sub-Saharan Africa. So on behalf of my team, the Director of ICT, inclusive, my HODs, and all members of Faculty of Computing, we want to appreciate your kind gesture. We want to appreciate your kind gesture for laying a foundation for cutting-edge programs like cybersecurity, software engineering, information systems, and technology in our dear university. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Photo? Photo? Please. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, in the absence of any for now, we will still be collecting the gift in case. Oh, what? Please be fast then.
All right.
Please be fast. Anyway, after now, we'll still be receiving the gift, but Ambrose will be doing it on behalf of the ongoing VC, so you can. Please, hello, be fast, please.
I'm sorry I have to just give a word about Professor Femi Peters. Because when Open University started 2002, we started together. So it's not just my Vice-Chancellor. Because he started as a Dean of Science. I was the pioneer Dean of Education. So it has been all the way through with him, talking together as friends, as colleagues, and everything. So right now, on behalf of myself, though you didn't mention my name, I present this to you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
May I just close the gift session by thanking all those who have presented their gifts to me. And in particular, I had read out names, and I have given the registrar, who is going to write a letter of commendation and a plaque to all the people that are mentioned in that. I want to thank everyone for honoring me today. I thank you for your presence. For your presence, I thank you. I want to thank you for your presence. Thank you for your presence. And I wish you a safe trip back to your various homes. Thank you.
Very much, sir. And now we are almost there. But before I invite one of the best dressed registrar in Nigeria, I know some of you will be murmuring, best dressed registrar. Yes, my registrar is the best dressed in Nigeria. Few months ago, the Association of Nigerian Registrars congregate here at the National Open University for one of their dealings, their annual general conference. For 3 days they were here, so we were able to take stock of how these registrars economically are faring. And I can tell you, with all sense of purpose, mine stood out as one of the best dressed, if not the best. Please put your hands together for my registrar, Mr. Oladipo Ajayi, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Bula, for that great honor. Yes, I see it as one of the greatest honor of my life to stand before you to give this vote of thanks to a man that has deserved all the accolades and all what you have said about him. They are all befitting. Protocols. I want to recognize the Honorable Minister of Education in absentia, the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council, the Vice-Chancellor, and all the former Vice-Chancellors. I will not stand on all the existing protocols, but I will recognize all the protocols that have been established, because I'm a younger brother to the visit designated by size. So, so that if I stand on that protocol, we break. So let me just go and give my vote of thanks. It is with great honor and profound gratitude that I present this vote of thanks on the occasion of the valedictory send-off and reception held in honor of the esteemed Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olufemi Peters, whose tenure formally concludes on Wednesday, 11 February 2026. Having worked closely with Professor Peters as registrar, I've been privileged to witness at close range his unwavering discipline, remarkable work ethic, and deep commitment to institutional excellence. His leadership style has been defined by clarity of purpose, firmness of conviction, and an uncommon sense of responsibility to the university and its mandate. Professor Peters is widely regarded, maybe arguably, as one of the most consequential leaders the National Open University of Nigeria has produced. His tenure has yielded outcomes that are enduring and far-reaching. His decisions were not merely administrative in nature, they were deliberate, principled, and transformative. His initiatives did not simply maintain the system, they strengthened it, reshaped it, and position the university for the future. In a world where leadership is often driven by expediency, Professor Peters chose a different path. He led with courage, discipline, and integrity. Whatever the challenge, whatever the circumstance, he confronted you with resolve and sincerity. In the truest sense of the phrase, he did it his own way, like his last famous song, I did it my own way. Guided not by convenience, but by conscience, not by popularity, but for purpose and by purpose. As we mark this occasion, it is important to acknowledge the collective support that made this journey successful. On behalf of the university, I extend sincere appreciation to the Honorable Minister of Education for the sustained interest in and support the university. I'm the Secretary of Council, Secretary of Senate, and I want to thank the Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council for approving this send-off for the Vice-Chancellor. Yes, this is recognition of exemplary leadership, steadfast guidance, and for supporting the hosting of this reception, sir. A gesture that reflects the deep mutual trust, respect, and appreciation between Council and the Vice-Chancellor. Thank you, sir. Distinguished members of the Governing Council, we thank you for your counsel, commitment to sound governance, and for joining in celebrating the service and legacy of the Vice-Chancellor. Former Vice-Chancellors, for your enduring legacy and infallible contributions to the growth of this university. Principals of the officers of the university, we thank you for your dedication to effective and responsible administration. The Dean of Postgraduate Studies and all the deans and all directors for providing academic leadership and sustaining standards of excellence. Members of Senate, for your commitment to scholarship, policy formulation, and institutional advancement. And all invited guests and members of the university community, thank you for honoring our Vice-Chancellor on this occasion with your presence and goodwill. Professor Peters leaves behind more than completed programs or approved policies. It leaves behind standards. It leaves behind systems strengthened and a culture of discipline, accountability, and excellence that will endure. Its legacy is written not only in records and reports, but in the values he upheld and the institutional character he helped to shape. At a defining moment in public life, the former President of the United States, when he decided not to contest for re-election again and stop his campaign midway, President Joe Biden, he declared, America, I have given you my best. Tonight, with equal sincerity and moral weight, it can be said of Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters, National Open University of Nigeria, I have given you my best. You are giving now your best, sir. You have served with grace. You have led with sincerity of spirit. You are giving this university your intellect, your vigor, your energy, and your unwavering commitment to doing what was right. As you take your leave of office, we do not merely mark the end of your tenure. We acknowledge a chapter of leadership that has led the university to stronger, steadier, and better prepared for the future. My summary of it all is this. And like a buzzword, if I had to write a commentary about you, Professor Olufemi Ayinde Peters, you served now with grace, sincerity of spirit, and unwavering conviction. You led with discipline. You chose principle over convenience.
You shaped the destiny of this university by doing what you believed in was right, your own way. Truly now can say with pride and enduring gratitude, you gave your best to this university. On behalf of the National Open University of Nigeria, we thank you, sir, for your exemplary service and distinguished leadership. We wish you continued health, fulfillment, and success in all your future endeavors. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you, Professor Olufemi and Peters. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to bless National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Reg. As he rolls back to his seat, you can attest to that fact that he's one of the well-dressed registrars we've got in Nigeria. And this brings us to the end of formal activities right now. Now the informal activities takes over from now. To close with a word of prayer, it's like we have finished what we're doing, so we want to leave. And I do not think we've gotten to that level yet, because the demolition exercise is about to begin. So when we finish the demolition exercise, you pray in peace and leave. If you want to stay here, no problem, we'll provide mattress. You sleep. So let's enjoy the other part of tonight. That is the dinner aspect of it. Food is more than enough. Please don't hesitate to ask for maybe 2 or 3 plates. We have enough to take care of the needy and the greedy. So thank you very much for taking time out to join us here as we celebrate one of our enigmas in the annals of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Olufemi Peters. On behalf of the council, I'm wishing you a safe journey back to your respective destinations. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.